Yo, what up, guys? It's Flark, and I'm bringing another Coach Flarkness episode to you. As a little aside before we go, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for all the content that I've been getting as submissions over the last week and a half or so. I was actually a little surprised by how much we got. Not only just the quantity of it, but the different diverse gameplay that I got. I've been asking for that for a while, and I finally delivered, which gives me a lot of different stuff to review, which is extremely helpful for me. So again, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me because that means you guys care enough about my opinion to give me the footage, and that you'll do that for the channel, as well as that you guys actually enjoy watching the series. That means a lot as well. So thank you guys. Obviously, share it, toss a like, a comment, discuss whatever you guys feel like in the comments below. If there's anything that you wanted to add that you noticed, I think that would be very healthy and very cool. And of course, thank you guys for all the support. This one's going to be really interesting. So we have TenyoO, it looks like, is his Twitch name. We've got him right here. I am now a follower. But yeah, TenyoO or TenyoO, a DK that is playing Rated Battlegrounds. And I was looking very, very heavily for RBG clips. I think it would be so fun to commentate over. I've led a couple hero pushes on DK. So I kind of understand the dynamic of both from a target calling perspective, leadership perspective, and just personally as a Death Knight, what they should be doing in RBGs. And I think that I would be good at reviewing something like this. Of course, there's stuff that I could miss. Once again, I'm going to be doing it all reactively. This is the first time. I skipped to the first game that I saw. Looks like it's a Deepwind Gorge, the new Deepwind Gorge. Remember, they changed it. And I'm going to be seeing it all for the first time. RBGs, there's a lot going on. There's 10 people on each team only. It never goes to 15 like in random battlegrounds. It's always 10. And there's a lot of different map design and gameplay that can occur because of that. So this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to do my best to comment on, the gameplay and the strategy, because strategy is a huge part of RBGs and it's a huge part of 3, so I'll always try and comment on that the best I can. Looks like it is not in English, which is fine because I know everything very, very well, and I'll try and help you guys out if there's anything that I feel like needs to be clarified. But without further ado, let's just get right into this. I'm going to skip around a lot because RBGs are long, and I'm not doing a 2-hour Coach Flarkness video, though I might do a 1-hour Coach Flarkness video because that's generally what happens to me. But let's just jump right into it. So right now, we're right off the bat, we're actually going to start with the Coach Flarkness on Theorycraft, because I think a lot of what I bring to this channel is Theorycraft. Gameplay is one thing, but decisions are another, and I'm interested onto what he does. So let's see if he brings up his talent menu again. I think I see it. You guys see it in the bottom left corner of the screen? If not, I'll find where he just had it, because I missed that. Ben Solo. So it was in the middle of the screen, but here we go. All right, so let's pause it right there. So we went, obviously, A-Bomb Necro, which everybody does. Using Skulker, I think RBGs actually does prioritize Infected Claws even more, because you're going to have your wounds on multiple different targets, and being able to reset them when you're getting peeled or kited, or that they're sprinting away, because RBGs are very big and they can get really far away from you, is very valuable. While Skulker is a very single target heavy ability that does minor AoE damage from its little explosion burst, but it does not add up to a lot. I think that Infected Claws would have more value there, especially with the extra effect of having generally bursting swords on more necrotic presses, which are good in RBGs because you can actually get the cleave effect of bursting swords, which is really good. It's generally just used for the healing absorption, but now you can get that cleave. But he's not running that, which I would also unfortunately disagree with. I don't think there's any situation where I would run Eben over swords right now, unless, I don't know, maybe you were just never going to cleave anybody. But bursting swords, necro healing absorption gives you enormous burst and single target as well. So not going to recommend this one. I would just switch those two lefternmost choices there. It's not like this is terrible. This is still going to do a lot of damage. It's still going to be very high pressure. These are the second choices that you would pick always, and they're probably close. I would just think that these would edge it out. This one is even more close. Like that could really go either way, and that could be nitpicking, which is something that I do, and maybe I'll try and stop a little bit because there's going to be a lot of game to review. Oh my god, I gotta start the actual game. But Necro's Bargain, also an interesting RBG pick. I'm down with that. I think that's a really good idea. It's generally better if you have multiple DKs. Does he? Let's check. No. Okay, so generally when you're the only DK, last thing I promise. If you're the only DK, you want to run Necro Aura. It's 8% damage to all of these casters and yourself and this Boomy and the S-Brace. I mean, that is just way too much more damage than Necro Bargain could ever do. The only chance you would ever run Bargain, and I thought he had a second DK, but I missaw the thing, is when you have a second DK that can run Necro Aura because they don't stack. So you'd have one running Necro and with the other Aura and the other one running Necro Bargain, and you would have a lot of extra pressure that way because Bargain is good in an RBG situation. You have more people potentially healing it and refreshing the dot, which is really powerful for sustained single target damage. But you cannot run it if you're the only DK. You absolutely can't. Necro is just so much more damage. Imagine giving everybody 8% instead of just yourself 3%. I hope I don't have to explain why the math doesn't check out there. So that will be all my... Hopefully I won't have to spend much time on Theorycraft because that should probably be the same from all these RBGs. So everything else looked great, obviously. Those were the right talents across the board. Let's check the playstyle. So in RBGs, this is going to be a different type of dynamic. It's going to be very hard to nitpick individual rotational choices or individual gameplay choices because RBGs are very different. Team fights are big. There's a lot of people, a lot going on, and it's not as impactful that you perfectly prioritize every button press. Rather that you've got a good target call, that your team is engaged on that target call, and that you're doing as much damage as you can to prioritize that. And while maximizing your AoE rotation with abilities like Bursting Sores and Epidemic, because that helps create a rot pressure that will require the healers to spread out their healing a little bit, which will make your single target pressure that much more terrifying. So just emphasizing that PvE-esque damage spread mentality while not worrying too much about nitpicky details is actually kind of how RBGs are played right now. So let's see, first off then, how he uses his utility effects that can keep him aggressive. That's still important, like it is in 3s, AMS and IBF, as well as when he decides to commit DA and his trinket. But also which target he chooses and how well he does at shutting that target down, as well as coordinating pressure on it. So this will be interesting. It looks like he's going Mage. They have double lock Mage, which is disgusting. What they're going to have to do to keep that pressure from being overwhelming is probably have some of the melee or maybe the casters just spam CC the lock and then just go Mage the whole time. Because if the lock is spam CC'd during an Infernal or Dark Soul window, he can also assist with this with target calling or asphyxiate or pet kick or grip or anything to disrupt these guys. But it is a team effort. But if the Warlocks are CC'd during Dark Soul Infernal and the Mage is sat on, the Mage is the only one that always has damage, right? Greater Pyroblast over and over and over. And RBGs, if you're not focusing them, they can really turret somebody down and finish somebody off, which effectively ends the team fight if it's a healer. So sitting on the Mage is generally pretty good. It looks like he's deciding to sit on the Lock, which is the other choice, right? But again, if the Mage was just sitting back there and turreting, I would go him. This guy looks like he's a melee range Mage, which is generally very good for you. Now he's swapping over to the healer here. Pressure on healer can be extremely valuable. Target calling a healer after a DPS has died or used all their CDs can really do a hard swap and get a lot of CDs out of the other team. And it looks like that's what they're doing here. But you have to be weary if the other team has CDs. If everybody's focused on a healer against double Warlock Mage, you might die. But so far it looked like a good window for that, and I bet you they're coordinating CC on the Warlock and Mage pretty well. UI is interesting. The BG enemies and the personal UI is both up, which is giving him a lot of information on the left side of his screen. While with the huge details and the multiple focus, I mean, he's got a lot of information going on. I wonder if he's able to utilize all of this information at once, or if there would be any benefit toward streamlining this UI a little bit. I generally don't make UI comments ever even one time. Everybody has their own personal preference, and changing that seems asinine. But this is just a lot of information that I'm looking at. I think we even have a stopwatch down here in case we need to set one of those off. Switching to the Ardruid, or is that the Boomy? The names are difficult to memorize because of the other language, and also some of them just have question marks. But again, like I said, team fights are they're very bizarre in RBGs, right? He's moving from target to target. He's swapping around. The cohesion from his team might be a little low. I'm not sure if he's target calling. I think I would recommend, if he is target calling, which DKs probably always should, so I can give you some really hearty advice here, get everybody on one guy and make it the mage for the first bit of this team fight. I really do believe that would get you the most pressure here. Mages in initial team fights can be very squishy. After temp goes down, they have nothing to save themselves, and they're at the mercy of getting stunned over and over and over again. Because so many people have a stun available. It's a rated battleground. There's a lot of people on your team. So that generally what that does, pausing again, is gets the healers mana and CDs, so they became extremely viable kill targets in the future. Mages are just mana fodder. They take so much damage. And they're so subjectable to being bursted down that they just burn through CDs. Pain Sup is very easy to get on a mage. It also shuts down their goes. So what I've noticed here, it looks like he's spinning, so that's another dynamic in RBGs, right? You have to spin this flag area, because if they just click the flag and cap it while nobody's looking at them, that really puts you behind, because then they can play defensive, and look how big the maps are in RBGs. I mean, could you imagine if a player, they didn't have to worry about getting a kill, they just had to worry about kiting you, and they had all of this line, LOS potential, and space to work with? If you ever lose the flag here, it could be devastating. I mean, you would just play this game now that is directly into their hands. They can just play really defensive, have one guy spin the flag, and everybody else play really spread out. And how are you going to kill somebody when all three healers are spread out and it's very difficult to stay on somebody? They don't have to go for kills anymore. So DK in this comp with the DH is a very good option for spinning this flag area. But it does look like he needs to be very focused on somebody in order to get pressure. And it seems like he is moving around from target to target. He's kind of wandering the map, going from target to target. I think he would benefit a lot from locking down one player. And like I said, I think that should be the mage. Here, once again, is a target swap. Here it is to the HPAL with Crypt Fever. They got, it looks like, Bubble out of the HPAL, but this is not my UI. So this is Omnibar. So it must be Bubble out of the HPAL. I didn't know if it was Bubble out of his own team. But this is Omnibar. So he did get the HPAL's Bubble, which means that is actually a very viable swap, which he tried to do there. Now swapping back over to the mage. Again, these are the targets that I would like to see. Hopefully he can stay a little bit more focused on this and get some CDs, more CDs out of the other team and start rotting them to death. This is good. So this is what we wanted to look at. The DH is spinning. The mage is near flag, so he's able to spin as well, and that's Pain Sup from the priest. So yeah, they are... Oh, they got Pain Sup ages ago, so they're actually pretty far ahead. Is that a link down? It's a little hard to see. Let's play. No, just an animation. But oh, there's no shamans on either team, so I bet you that's not Spirit Link, if I had to make a guess. Now he's making a swap back over to the HPAL. This might be a good opportunity to focus on that rotation. This is actually a really good play here. He got the Blood of the Enemy, and he has APOC coming up, as well as a lot of active runes. So this is a good time to swap. I think because nobody on his team is that low, S-Priest probably generally has defensives. Mage has defensives, and all 3 healers are topped, which is a good situation to be in. This is a time to gun down the H-Pal. So he should be using Festering, APOC, Soul Reaper, Spam Necro, and just global this guy. That Bop can come off. He has 3 things that can dispel. This is probably that window. Right here, this is an opportunity to prioritize target calling. So I don't see his mouth moving. I have my sound muted. This is where DK shines in RBGs. Again, you should be target calling as a DK every time. I don't know if he did it in these. I'm not going to turn my sound on. Maybe I can do it for a second here to see if he's kind of talking at the same time. But that is what DK does. It has that grip like you just did. Grip swaps are very powerful as DK. So it's really, really important that you coordinate your goes. Right there, if you had coordinated a grip swap go to this guy, they could have easily purged Freedom and Bop, and then you would have done those things that I said, where you would just slaughter this guy. He has nothing available, and he would have died. So I think I would recommend just... Oh, and there he goes. So maybe he did say something. I can't tell. I don't know if he was just saying, like, nice, he's dead. Maybe. I don't speak his language either, so I don't think I'll actually ever know what he said. But that was a beautiful swap. That ended up working out perfectly. So somebody on this team called HPAL, and he delivered with the grip sweep. So there you go. Or the grip is fixed, rather. So there you go. That was awesome. That's how you get a kill. Now this team fight is over, because the HPAL is kind of the anchor. With Bubble Sack, that is their only tool for keeping this Archduid alive. Archduid can never live if they're getting focused, if they don't have support. When you're 2 healing, it's just that much worse. So just run down the Archduid now and snowball their healers. This is the optimal time. There's no reason to hit Warlock or Mage. Your entire team's health just, yep, beautiful. Look at this. This is exactly what I was saying. I promise I didn't watch this beforehand. Yep, and now the Archduid's dead. I promise. I know you don't believe me. That was such a sick call. Then Disc dies and their whole team dies. So I like this. I had a little bit of worry about the target call there. It seemed like the H-Pal was going to get away, but somebody on this team, whether or not it's him or somebody, called the H-Pal. The grip was there. The pressure was there. The cohesion was there. And the team fight was won. So while I had a little bit of skepticism, he delivered in a big way. And that is huge, because now you'll see their entire team die. Once again, Disc is good here. You just want to finish off all 3 healers. Did this guy get a body res? That is bad. And he did? I can't tell because of the question marks. He did. Okay. So really weak play here. This is RBG specific, not DK specific, but I might as well talk about it. Right when the DK was over there, it doesn't have to be the DK, so this is not a Coach Flarkness DK video. This is a Coach Flarkness anybody video right now. He has to click the body. You have to loot their insignia, or they can just go release and then run back to their body and resurrect. Don't worry, I'm guilty of this all the time, but that one was an easy one. It wasn't in the middle of a clutch team fight that both teams were dying in, or in the middle of a bunch of corpses that you didn't know if you had gotten it. He was just over there alone, dead. It was the easiest click of your life. Yeah, you'll have to press that next time, because you just gave them a chance to come back. Of course, they're not going to, because your team fight just feels better than theirs. So they're not going to come back here. But against a better team, that could have been trouble. Looks like he gets the pet stun on the cast there, and he finishes the HPAL that he let res. So it didn't end up mattering. That was a critique for higher MMR games, because he ended up just globaling him anyway. But against certain teams, they can play really defensive when somebody goes down, and if they get that body res, they can completely reset the team fight. Plus, remember, against better teams, your team should be taking damage as well. So you'll end up really not being able to snowball this pressure like you are right now. It'll be more back and forth. But it seems like they have the team fight under control, and they're doing a great job now finishing this game. If they do end up winning this team fight, I'll skip ahead and see if they end up winning the game on this 3-cap. And if they do, I'll just move to the next one. Because the rest of the game then becomes less about DK and more about the strategy of RBGs, which I might make a video on, but that is not much of a Coach Flarkness video for DK PvP. Because what that is just managing your players. As a short, you need to double sit bases, you need to float the Demon Hunter because he's very mobile, and he can go back to the bases that he needs to go to. And you need to just make sure nothing is left open, that nobody's left without a trinket, because, CC cap is a thing in RBGs. It's not just about getting globaled, right? It's about getting a blind with no trinket that will cap the flag. So then it's more strategy and less DK. But I'll check to see if that's what goes on here. But they have won the team fight. I really love... So some positives. I love the swap to the H-Bal. That was orchestrated perfectly, even though I had my reservations about the TC and if it had been done. The swap to the R-Druid after, phenomenal, and the exact logical course of action. So that was the perfect snowball flow that you would want to see in a team fight. And the shutdown of their Mage and Warlock in the beginning seemed really good because nobody on your team took any damage. So that was a really well orchestrated team fight. Just a few cleanup things here and there that looked like much more nitpicky than they were, because I don't think you'll see it in this game, but you might in a higher MMR game. But now they're just snowballing him. Healers cannot keep up with this. The DPS are free reign to do whatever they want because so many people are dead. So they're just running their bodies back in. They're going to die over and over and over, and eventually this is going to be the cap. DH should not be capping here. It should only be healers. Right here, healers cap, DPS does damage, and the rogues, they don't have their rogue in team fight. The mage or something would push up in CC. They're going to get it anyway. But these are just, again, these are nitpick points for when your MMR climbs, and these impactful decisions matter an enormous amount in the long term. So that was the team fight. So you can see now, they cap the base. They're up 3-2. This is where it becomes an RBG game instead of a DK PvP game. Because all that matters now is that they hold these bases by playing strategically sound. So I'm going to skip ahead and see if they do that. So they hold the 3 cap here. So I will skip ahead a lot. And the game's over. So they hold the 3 cap. Let's see. Let's move my thing out of the way. There we go. Oh, gotta wait for the thing to go down. They hold the 3 cap, looks like, through most of the game. At one point they may have dropped it because they're only up by 200 points. But they got it back. So that's all just RBG dynamic. Doesn't seem like the team fight was ever an issue, so that's how it went the whole time. So that is the first RBG. They played that deep win team fight very well. The mechanics, I'm sure, went fine. It looks like they either lost a base and recaptured it, or they didn't, and deep wind just ends really close. I'm not really sure. But we already spent a lot of time on that. So now we'll go to Temple here, it looks like. Ooh, baby. And here we go. So this one's really good, because unlike deep wind, the entire game matters. It's all DK PvP the entire time. So I'll actually commentate through this entire game, and I'm not going to pause it. Now that I've said everything that I wanted to say about theorycraft and about general team fight design, I'm just going to make comments as I see them as the game goes. So I'm actually just going to watch this game fully. And unless there's really, really a reason to pause it, I'm not going to. I'm just going to talk over the gameplay. So it looks like they immediately target called DH who grabs Zerk, which made a lot of sense. But now they actually have to swap off of him, maybe CC him, because DH is a very terrible target. They're very, very tanky in RBGs. They have Blur, Dark, Fly, Rain from Above, which you just used, Meta Leech, tons of heals, and they'll get wiped pretty easily by going DH. What they instead have to do is go Mages, as there are 2 of them, and they are spam casting Greater. Right now he's target calling the H-Pal, which is completely wrong. Can't go H-Pal this early in the fight. There's no way. You can actually never go H-Pal until Bubble's down. It just puts all of your... That's a really good point. Ah, fuck, I have to pause it. That's such a good point. You're putting all of your pressure into a target that will not die to it. He will bubble. Yes, you can MD, but in RBGs, it's so important that you put all your pressure into somebody that is at risk of dying or peels damage. Because if they're at the risk of dying, then if you get a coordinated go on them, then you might have just won the team fight right there. Or if they are doing a lot of damage, then you're peeling, even if you're not guaranteed going to kill them because they're going to ice block, you're stopping a lot of that pressure and edging the team fight in your favor. That is all that's important, is edging the team fight in your favor. Right now, getting Bubble out of the H-Pal could be done on the Mage. It could be done on the Mistweaver. You could go anybody besides the H-Pal and get his Bubble because he has to Bubble Sack or get out of CC. You could get his Bubble with CC, but you shouldn't be doing it with damage because you're not putting your damage into something that will change the team fight. That is a very good point. H-Pal is never, ever the first target unless you're literally trying to full team global precast MD, which can be very good. But they didn't do that at all. So no matter how low this guy gets, okay, so that's fucking stupid. So the guy's shit, right? So the HPL is terrible, which does not invalidate anything I just said. It's all still true, but the guy's a fucking idiot. That's not fair to Coach Flarkness videos, man. Because, because ideally, you play to the other team not being brain damaged. Zativa BlackRock, fuck you, man, and everything that you stand for trying to invalidate all of my points by being a fucking moron. Just press bubble. Don't cast in somebody's face. Just press bubble, and you will do all the things that I just said you were going to do. But instead, you suck. Big donkey balls, and that's what happens. Regardless, their whole team's wiping right now. They're rotting to death. So besides the HPAL being terrible, it looks like the other team has got a really, really good team fight, because you'll notice on the left side of your screen, we've got some lowering health bars over here. They're rotting. In an RBG environment, that can be really hard to recover from. If this HPAL had pressed bubble, this team fight would be long over. Looks like they're trying to snowball healers here, but if everybody's dying, it might, once again, be better to go mage. I'm assuming this team is just going to prove me wrong again by being terrible. But maybe not. If they do stabilize here, I worry for their strat in the future. Let's see if maybe later in the game that that comes to fruition. We'll see. Right now he's looking at the Mistweaver. Getting really good pressure out. I mean, his rotation and his damage is extremely sound. He's doing a phenomenal job. Now he kicks him and kills Mistweaver. So they are wiping them in this team fight. So his rotation and his mechanics of DK itself and the way that he does it, again, look to prior Coach Flarkness videos for that importance of setup globals, necro spam, not overcapping on wounds, not overcapping on runes, just doing a good job with that. And his rotation is extremely sound. His damage is phenomenal. I'm still mad at Zativa BlackRock. In fact, I don't think I'll ever forgive him. I don't think I'll ever forgive him. I'm going to make an EU account so I can farm this guy myself. I'm actually so tilted. Oh, what is this? Is this editing? Oh my god, look. That's so funny. Oh my god. He is right. He is doing a lot of damage. That was hilarious, dude. What the fuck was that? I gotta know what that is. So in Temple, I'm not going to pause it because I can talk while the game's going. In Temple, obviously, there's a little bit of an ebb and a flow between the game, as when you grab orbs, you can snowball them and they can snowball you because you do more damage, but you take more damage than you do more of. So you're at a disadvantage there. But God, that was a perfect play. Gripping the mage in and getting a global on him. This is good. That was good. I don't appreciate the HPAL invalidating my points in the beginning, but this is good. I mean, the target call is excellent. Gripping the mage in is so huge because mage have no answer to that. If they get stunned with no trinket, that guy's running relentless. It's just a massacre across the board here. This is phenomenal. This is what DK should be doing. I almost paused it again. DK should be gripping targets in, snowballing pressure, keeping you guys aggressive, chainsing people off your DPS. RBG DK is very, very active with its utility usage. Death Grip as a target call ability is huge. It can just give you a kill by gripping them into your entire team. And chains on multiple players, that's undispellable, completely locks down a team and makes them unable to touch you. I think actually Vixide could have probably kited a little better there, as you did have a kill on both Mage and then Ardruid, and you could have continued kiting and chainsing everything. So it looks like your orbs actually played that a little poor. And that's going to give the other team a chance to come back in. You don't pick here. You definitely don't pick here because you just lost 3 DPS. You can't lose another. So this is unfortunately probably not the play. I think you would just rather wait for a regroup. I think playing back with the orb seems to be okay, which he's now not doing. Yeah, so I would have just stayed where he was. It might have been okay. I just don't want him to throw his life away here, but we'll see how it works. Chains and kite. That's good. That's very good. Okay. So what I was worried about is that he would grab and his team would be split, so they'd be on the opposite side of the map. I have to pause here. And they would be separate from him based on spawning, which would just give the other team a free kill, which would keep the other team's snowball going, which is the exact opposite. That's what you want to avoid. That's what you want to do to them. And the second thing I was worried about was that he would move toward the team that was kind of grouped up on that side and kind of get face rolled. But he ended up moving back, chainsing, kiting. This is good play, so we don't have to be as worried about it. Seems like some of the things that I'm worried about him doing, he seems to end up avoiding it. So some of my critiques here are falling a little short. He's actually playing extremely well. There's the Zativa thing, though. That's not my fault, dude. That fucking guy sucks, man. He just sucks. He just sucks poop for a living. That is his job. He's a poop sucker. So now he's doing a fantastic job staying out of the cleave. I won't pause it. Staying out of the cleave fest, right? He's got an orb. He takes more damage, and he gets kidney and killed. So, yeah, so that's probably an issue. I guess pre-IBF that wouldn't have even mattered. He took so much damage in that kidney. DK's actually, despite having such enormous self-healing and responding very well to burst damage, are a little squishy with the orb. Because if you just get, like, Garrote kidneyed, you can die in that. You can't use IBF to get out of the kidney because you're silenced, and you can't press Death Strike then. So actually you can just fucking melt. The other thing is globals can even be sometimes too slow for the amount of damage you take. Ideally, you kite when you have orbs here. And DK is not the most mobile class, so that's why DK falls a little short. Now the other team's 4-orbing them, which is going to bring them really close back, and he's running in to a team right now that he can't do. I don't know where his healers are, or his other DPS. His UI... so, yeah. He got the kill on the warrior, though. Still proving me wrong. I don't know how he pulls this off. I'd like to believe the other team is bad, but his damage is pretty remarkable. Here's a disperse out of the S-Priest, a half kidney on him, just pretty desperate to peel his overwhelming damage. But they are doing a good job kiting, which is bad for DK. Like I said, DK does a great job helping its team kite, but does not kite well itself and does not catch up to people well itself. So if they ever get away like this, they can start ramping up some points, and that's what the other team's doing. As you can see at the top of your screen here, the scoreboard. Well, and now it's gone, but right up here you'll see it. The Horde side, these guys are Alliance. The Horde side is catching up here. And now going DH is pretty scary if he has that meta heal, and he does. So he wants to really hit S-Priest here, or the Mage, and he's going to fall behind. So this... Alright, so now I have... Some of my critiques are probably coming to fruition now. It didn't come before, but it's coming now. DH, never a target. That came in right there. DH heals for infinity and cleaves everybody around it. You just have to kite and you're ranged have to kill it. Meanwhile, the 240 stack Mage that you can see over here is doing infinity damage unfocused. So you'll have to run in there, spam Death Strike, run away from the DH, and this is what I was worried about. So, it looks like the other team pulled their head out of their ass a little bit to punish some of these misplays. Target calling is extremely important here, and Mage was easily the target. DH ended up globaling their entire team as they probably ran in and got cleaved to death, and especially losing the DK, who can shut down Mage and S-Priest very high, as well as global them himself, was a huge problem. As you can see, both the Mage and the S-Priest are still alive right here. I mean, that cannot happen. He was 200 stacks, and you were in range. I mean, that is the time to grip him, kill the S-Priest, and change the DH while your ranged kills it. I mean, that is the play. So now they're falling pretty far behind. Of course, they're going to get the kills now because the other team, this is 400 stacks. That is so much increased damage. All of them are just going to rot to death. But they had a lead and they kind of lost it. So now the swing is in the other team's favor. It doesn't look like that because the other team is dead. But the other team seems to have that kite mentality down a little better. So if they wait for the orbs to gather stacks here, global them, pick, and kite, they'll get that ebb and flow in their favor, and you'll see that in a second. I really hope... I've had a lot to say on this one, and I don't want the other team to invalidate what I say by playing bad, because I think it is really important stuff. But as far as rotational ability, mechanical ability, this DK is playing extremely well. Very good. I think there's just decision-making that should be getting punished. Now they have 4 orbs, and it seems like the game's just over. They're like, wow, you got 4 orbs, your whole team's alive, you're going to win. But this is where the ebb and flow of Temple comes into play. What happens is with those 4 orbs, you can all of a sudden lose 4 people on your team. The warrior came in and died because he's a monkey-brained idiot. But then the Boomy gets one shot, now the DK gets one shot, and the kidney bomb barely survives here. Now that's a bubble on him, but he's still rotting through it. S-Priest is going to be an immediate target out of that. Looks like the DH stuns him over there. DK doing a good job this time, a much better job, like he's listening to me. He's kiting away from the guys and switching over to the S-Priest instead of trying to tank it, but unfortunately there's nothing to Death Strike on here now as the S-Priest fades and he's going to die. So once again, DK suffers having the orb because it can't kite and do damage. DK is generally the target caller, kill the other orbs. He's kind of throwing his corpse away here. And now every orb in the game just died, which leaves his team with 3 people dead and the other team with 1. So it looks like Horde will be able to pick here. He got the first jump on the orbs, but that was a huge mistake because there wasn't enough people alive to peel for the orb carriers. So now they're going to throw their corpses again away, and it might give the Horde one more chance to snowball them out of the game here. So right now it's Warrior and DH with the orb carriers. On the other team, so you'll need to go Warrior here. Again, DH, we've mentioned, terrible target. While on his team it's Rogue and DH, so peeling for them would be very easy. You could just chains and they could run. DH is very good at running. Got a little stuck in that ring. Now he's in a different ring. They're kiting him. This is some of the issues with DKs. Just chains everybody as you're going is the only play here, and it looks like he's going to do that. Chains Mistweaver? Nope. Oh, very wrong. Very wrong. Okay. Yeah, very wrong. This is the play that loses the game. All right, so I was very critical early, and you proved me wrong, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to prove you wrong right back. I am now 100% certain that you lose. I have not watched this, but I'm 100% certain, and this is why. All of your team is now across the map on the other side getting gangbanged as you see multiple people dying. DH dying is going to die with 120 stacks. Rogue's dead. Disc is dead, which means your healers are going to get snowballed. Your entire team is going to die. And you have a possibility of killing this warrior, peeling the mage, and chainsing everybody on the way. But now you are across the map. You're getting an orb that, once again, you get globaled with every time because you can't kite. And putting yourself in a complete split situation where now your entire team's going to die over here, then you're going to be screwed over here, and you're going to be split res as well because you're going to die later than they die. And I promise you that's going to happen. I promise. I know it. I know it's going to happen. So the DH died as expected. Now the team should rot while the disc is dead. And they're going to lose people. Looks like he might be able to get back to his team, but not in time. Now the Warlock's dead. Disc reses. He picks Druid. So it looks like most of that's going to happen. So right now the Horde has numbers, and they lost people that they shouldn't. But he's not going to die, which is good. That's very good. It could have been punished by a better team once again, but that's good. Uh-oh. He might die. I don't know. Rogues have evasion. I always get scared. See, it's funny. I've played so many... I have to go on a little tangent here. I've played so many fucking DK RBGs nowadays that it just kind of feels like I was kind of... I'm looking at this game with the same feeling I put into a CR push group. So I'm just like playing... I feel like I'm playing the RBG. And so that's why I've had such like polarizing and intense commentary, or I guess critique, over everything, because I know what those type of teams that I queue into, those hero push teams, would do if I had done something similar, and it's like freaking me out. Like I feel like, oh god, we're about to lose, like as an RPG lead. But he didn't die, and now he did. So once again, not immediately punished for the misplay there, but unfortunately, as his team dies, and then he picks an orb and he dies, it's not really doing what DK is supposed to do on Temple. Which again, grip orbs in, global them with your insane damage. You did that little meme, the guy, what's his name? iDubbbz, the meme guy, who's like, look how much damage he's doing. That's true. You do that much damage. You're mechanically extremely sound. Your pressure is enormous. I love the way you use your rotation and the way you swap targets. Your damage is there. But what's going on now is the point of DK and RBG is not there, which is gripping orbs in, peeling for your players, helping your guys kite, keeping everybody slow so you can engage on them so they can't kite you, and just doing overwhelming damage, which is not happening because you're either dead or running to an orb to pick it up so you can be dead. And now I think Coach Flarkness finally ends up having those things truthed because they are going to lose. I don't think they can come back from this situation. Temple, when you get to this window, this 300 or 1300 point window, what you do is you just run into mid, die, and then your healers are on the outside. They pick and they kite, and they get the last 100 points or whatever, and you lose the game. And I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but if they do, they win. There's the S-Priest racking up some points. Looks like the Rogue grabs it. That's fine. Healer's in mid. Nothing he can do there, but if anybody picks, really, it's over. Here he is, just trying to get kills in mid. Again, rotation sound, chains being pressed now, but it's a little too late, and a little bit of kiting from the other team is going to lose this. I don't think I have a lot more to say. I've really stressed it hard. He is very, very good at doing damage, and his rotation is sound, and his knowledge of DK feels good, but his placement in this game was incorrect. Like, his role for the game was not correct. He's going to try, what he needs to do here is just global FCs left and right, because you got to put them on split, you got to rack up points from getting kills, and they can never have an orb. But like I said, it's too late. It's Temple. Once you get into this last second window, it feels like it get really close, like we're catching up. But all they have to do is have people grab and just hemorrhage points. It's actually a little farther away than it looks. I've played so many of these fucking games. I've played so many. They're even mentally just throwing. Just they're mentally not in it. The other team isn't. The mage ran mid. Like, all he has to do is kite, and they're still, unfortunately, going to lose. DH has the orb. Everybody's dead, but it just doesn't matter. That's exactly what I said was going to happen. It looks close, but that one was over. I don't know. I guess Niederlich means defeat in some language. I don't know. That's an unfortunate MMR loss, too. So I had a lot to say there. It's because I'm really, really played a lot of RBGs from a DK, from a leadership, from a TC perspective. So this kind of stuff is going to be all I can really commentate on, because you're mechanically sound. As you saw in the beginning of the game, when you're doing your role correctly and you're in a team fight, your damage is amazing. And it seems like you've got a feel for gripping and stunning and kicking and doing those things. And in an RBG environment, picking subtleties apart in gameplay is actually very difficult. What are you going to do? Oh, you missed a pet kick? It's like, okay, you missed one. Like, there's so many things to be doing at all times. You could kick anything in the RBG. The juke meta is a little lower because of that, because there's so much to kick and so many people who can kick. The subtleties of when to use pet stun and an aura mastery are less defined because there's so much that can be used on. It's kind of more decision-based than it is like mechanical based. Your rotation and, unfortunately, how much PvE output you can do is kind of what matters mechanically and gameplay wise. So I had to make some critiques on the let me check the time here. On the I can't check the time because I have this. Holy fuck, that is the quickest 43 minutes I've ever seen. I can't make gameplay specific critiques as well as I can make DK's role, which is still DK PvP, right? It's still DK PvP, because you're PvPing, and that's what a DK should do. Okay, so we're gonna have to move on because we're running out of time now. I'll do one more game. And I skipped way ahead of it here. Excuse me. That's not good. All right, here we go. I want to do more of these. I really do. Thank you so much for giving me this. I really appreciate it. Again, I have to be hypercritical of certain things because I'm not going to be able to find anything that easily changeable in your rotation from an RBG perspective. If you're pumping PvE damage, it's, again, just going to rely on the strategy that you execute and how well you know your role and how well you fit into the comp. That will matter. Looks like you've got a lot of MMR on these guys, so you got to win. But we'll see this one. I might do a part 2 of this because this is very, very interesting to me. I'm loving it. You can tell probably. I'm having a little bit too much fun because I have a lot to say. I might do a part 2 of this and do the rest of the videos. Just let me know if you found it enjoyable. I know that it's a different type of critique and there's a lot of weird stuff being said. But if there's something you could grasp from this and it was valuable to you or other people who are not DKs, because there is some strat talk, just let me know. If there's not a lot of use in it, then let me know that too. But I'm having a lot of fun, so I hope that's not the case. So anyway, we got Gilneas here. This is a team fight map. So we'll kind of skip to that point. They just run right into this middle here and then a team fight. They have one person at a base and they 9-man team fight. So that's really good. We'll see if they play this team fight in a way that I would approve of. And again, we'll watch him do a lot of fucking damage because that's what he seems to be doing. Stuns on the, I think, HPAL. But again, I'm looking at fucking question marks here, so excuse me. But I think it was HPAL, and that got his trinket immediately, so that was pretty fucking awesome for him. And then they globaled the rogue in 2 seconds, so seems like damage-wise, once again, he's popping off, top of the charts here. And now he's going mage, which is a phenomenal decision. Mage has no trinket, HPAL has no trinket. They have a lot of potential swaps here. This is actually one of those times where you could just gun down the HPAL and try and do a pre-MD, because you already got a kill on the rogue. And oh, looks like he's doing just that. That is a phenomenal play. That is so good, right? Because you can precast MD. There's no way they're going to kill down to DPS, especially when that DPS is the rogue. That was paints up and bubble. Overlaps galore. They're punishing the fuck out of this team. You can go disc now. You can stay healers. You can snowball pressure. Maybe grip HPAL in to the middle is what I would do. I would run back to the middle and grip. I think he got stuck on a box. That is not the play currently. GPI kicks it. Pretty aware of everything that's going on. He's spending a little bit too much time hopping targets. This is how you get a lot of disease pressure out, but not a lot of kill pressure. And they're not really rotting people, so I would recommend trying to snowball, like globaling that. Okay, now he's getting lost. All right, so that was interesting. I have to comment on this. I'm sorry, buddy, I have to. Okay. So one thing, a huge difference between really, really high-end DKs and RBGs, and working toward that point, people who are not there yet, is the emphasis on single target sustained pressure. So how much of your damage is necro strike and necro strike healing absorption versus the value of just padding, which is just running around, outbreak this, outbreak that, outbreak this, jumping from target to target, getting an outbreak on everything and pressing epidemic. Padders end up looking really impressive on the number sheet, but that doesn't win team fights at high MMR. It really, really doesn't, especially in a meta, in a season, BFA season fucking 4, where there is so much passive healing and monks are so insane. Like if you were queuing at high MMR and you queued into triple monk at 2100, that's just so much output that you need to centralize and kill in windows. Kidney bomb, stun chain, CC chains on the healers. Not just rotting everybody, because output will be fine and they'll eventually pick one of your guys to global and you'll lose. So the amount of time that he spent moving over here, then over there, then over there, then over there, then over there, that was just to press outbreak, right? Which is going to pad, and your numbers will be high. But what died? Nothing died. They had a kill right off the bat. You saw it. It was when everybody focused. And then the HPAL had no trinket and no bubble. But why isn't he dead? It's a 1700 MMR team, right? This guy should be dead. And it's because all of a sudden the focus went away. It's not because he's not a very mechanically sound player, which he is, and his damage when he's on a target is incredible. Incredible. And his team's damage backed him up really hard on that rogue, right? They just globaled him. But the focus was gone. That's a big problem. The DK was not focused. The team, subsequently, was not focused. It was move over here, outbreak, 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 swapping targets. Kick one GPI, you can do that from a range. And then once again, look at the mage a little bit, look at this guy. He's just unfocused right now. Now it seems like he's going back to the HPAL, but it actually gave that team a chance to stabilize. That said, I still believe they're going to win. Their team fight seems much better just mechanically, but that is a big point on what could matter when you keep climbing this team up, which I hope you do. And I hope I watched the rest of these and that was good. See, there you go. And that's what they should have done. So giving the team a chance to stabilize before doing that is always going to be a misplay, but against an H-Pal that stands in the middle when he has no bubble and no trinket instead of lining and trying to get peeled, it's going to work anyway. But again, we don't ever make our decisions based on the inadequacy of the team that we're playing against, because then we'll get stuck, right? If we make our decisions based on the fact, well, these guys couldn't counter it, so get fucked, that will keep you at that MMR bracket. And everybody's hopeful goal, especially if they submitted clips for this, is to go up and up and up and up and keep getting better and better and better. So you'll want to play above the level you're currently at, which means even if the team that you're playing against can't handle what you're doing because they're bad, you'll always still want to try and do those things that would amplify you to the next level. So, but right now, they're wiping the team fight. Again, damage looks great. That S-Priest is going completely off, which is awesome. So they do have some rot pressure, but not enough to justify spreading damage. As you saw, when everybody was focused, that's when they got the kill. And now you'll see it time and time again. Kill after kill after kill in this team fight. So actually, I think I might be able to do one more. I'll check time again, because this game's over. Once you win a team fight on Gilneas, if your team is seriously that much better, they had the MMR gap, they had the team comp, they had the coordination. It just it just ends. Once a team does that, it's kind of like an arena where if you kill somebody, you won the game. Congratulations. It's not like you have to sit here and watch it. And I think that will be true as they hold the 2-cat. Hold the 2-cat. Hold the 2-cat. And they got it. All right? Yeah. And then they even got the 3. So huge win there. Congratulations. Yeah, that feels good. So let's take a look at one more. Honestly, I'll play this one all out, so I don't have to do. Maybe I won't do a part 2 then. Instead, I will just watch the Silver Shard and get enough gameplay to be content with that. So this is your final game. Hopefully, it's a good one. Silver Shard is great because once again, I can do what I did on Temple: watch the whole game out and commentate over it. It's a continuous game. There's always fights. You're always competing for something. So let me skip right ahead to that and get right into the action. Too far. Perfect. All right, so in the initial team fight, spread and change, spreading is disease. Once again, I think the beginning of the team fight is when people should be doing their burst, so you should pick a target and go it. I don't think running around and pressing virulent on things is that valuable. We still don't have a target. We have no target. I don't know what his target is. It looks like he wants to go H-Bell now. Okay. So that is where the whole bubble argument comes into play. But now they're stacked, so right now I would drop D&D, spam Epidemic, and just cleave with Bursting Swords, which I guess he doesn't have, but any form of cleave that you can find. It's a little hard to justify how unfocused this play is, but once again, it seems like they're going to win it. Both teams have a Guardian Druid. I wonder if that's EU meta or low MMR meta. I don't know. H-Pal now has no bubble, but Monk has a bubble. Seems like they're stable enough to look at healers, especially with both teams playing a Guardian Druid. I would just like a good A-bomb go on something right off the bat that feels like a decent target, like Locker Mage seems good. Neither team really in much trouble here, though, and they ended up getting the cart. So, assuming they win top, then they're in the lead. So everything seems to be okay. Right now, phenomenal time to go H-Pal and net the kill. H-Pal was looking like he was going over for a leaf. He was separated from his team and had no bubble. So now, once again, as the game moves on, he's able to pick apart the misplays of the other team, which is good. Also, his mage is doing 38k DPS as a frost mage, so they must be stacking a lot. So it looks like the rot. No, I have to highlight that since I've critiqued so much. Look at this. Look at that. Damage is phenomenal. Again, I'm not so into the press disease on random things in the beginning. I think you would get a little far behind against a more coordinated team. But when you're doing damage this well, and your team is doing the same, and you're actually getting rot pressure off, seems valuable enough. Also, the swap back to the H-Pal was clean, so clean, and it obviously netted you a snowball now, and in RBGs that effectively can decide the game. That swap was so clean, so clean. Just absolutely so good, because what happens is now their anchor, like I mentioned earlier, is gone, which means all their healers fall apart. You can just pick them off one by one by one, which is exactly what they're doing. So again, a little worried about the opening, disease spread rather than picking a target and gunning it down. And a little worried about gunning down H-Pal in the beginning, because if it was a better team, then maybe Lock Mage punishes for that. But they didn't, and the snowball was real, and the swap was fantastic, and the damage output is absurd. So, hey, sometimes that's enough, and it's working out in a big way here. Essentially, they're going to keep picking off people one by one as the other team is constantly split. Keeping himself around mid was also really good, because he was able to help his team pick people off from the graveyard, as well as get the tag on the new mid, which I think they may have gotten. Hopefully they did. Going top here makes no sense. Is this a 2v3? If his team gets here, but I can't really tell because the report is blocked off by the webcam. Disc is coming. Maybe this could work. This could work. Yeah, they're not turning it. Oh, this is just an absolute domination. In every front. Look at this. This is beautiful. Right now, his absurd damage isn't going to matter rot-wise, because the Guardian is here, and nobody's going to die to rot. They really can't lose their Mistweaver here. That could actually put them really far behind. Interesting push for top here. Top is the slowest capping cart, but it seems like the play, just because they're winning every node. But I would worry if the other team was making plays to counter this, because now their entire team is stuck at top, and the other two nodes are going to cap first. But it really doesn't matter, right? When you just keep getting the numbers advantage. They're getting kills, they're doing pressure, they're outplaying the other team's healers, they're putting them on split res. Their H-Pal is better than their H-Pal. Their H-Pal is really bad. Again, that seems to be a focus of this video. Bad healers getting outplayed, and making me frustrated as I think, good advice, very good advice, ends up falling short. Because Mr. What was his name? I've already forgotten. He's so meaningless to me. Mr. Dumbass from the temple just completely gets outplayed by throwing. And then this H-Pal runs over to get Leaf when they have no CDs available and get swapped to by the entire team. That's just terrible. But you can't disrespect what this team's able to do. Their pressure, again, enormous. His rotation, very sound. Getting burst window on that H-Pal in the swap with APOC, it's just very good. Again, I can't comment much on the rotation. Look at the other Coach Flarkness videos for information on setup globals and when to use certain abilities and how precise you need to be in certain openers. But in this one, maybe the role of DK PvP and strategy and on-demand movement is more valuable. And how to punish, I guess. He's giving you a masterclass on how to punish bad RBG teams, because that's what's happening right now. He's punishing the fuck out of these guys. I mean, it is just complete domination in a Silver Shard. When you're up by 2 carts this late in the game, you can literally just focus on whatever you want. You could overwhelm 1 cart, and there's nothing they could do, because they have to make a play for all the carts because they need to catch up. But you don't. So you could just always have numbers, always be wiping them, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing, it seems like. So, again, a masterclass in punishing teams for making terrible mistakes all game, and on the flip side, using his understanding of his class and rotation to do a lot of pressure. And here, once again, this is a fine swap to the H-Pal who... oh, no, he did have bubble. Okay, bad swap to the H-Pal, who did in fact have bubble. So sitting Lock and Mage would have been better, as now the Mistweaver's dead. But actually, they lose this card. That's really bad. I wonder, they must not have had numbers then, which means they didn't do what I asked. Now their whole team's going to get wiped. I hope that I'm not watching the throw of the century. Going H-Pal there cost his mystery for his life. And only got bubble, which doesn't matter now because they're all dead. But they got the other 2 cards, so they win the game, right? That's what happens. His reporter's blocked off, so I can't see what's going on. I don't know. I think they win the other 2 cards, so they win the game. I don't think it mattered that they wiped here. Go team? Smiles? Let's see. Once top caps, I think it's over. Yeah. As long as they get top, they win the game. All right. So, messy team fight at the end aside, they played for the other 2 cards and won them. That's a fine strategy as well. Especially then, I guess, if you're going into a node where you have less people, definitely go DPS so you can stay alive and just chains everybody away. But again, no chance this team punishes you. You guys dominated them from start to finish, and you just seem to have the more mechanically sound team, the more coordinated team, and you won the game off of that. So congratulations on that one. You did well. I mean, right, 3 out of 4 that I've watched, you won them. So this seems like a really solid queue session for you. And I'm happy for that. I'd love to watch the other ones. I'm very sad. I want to do a part 2, but I don't know if there's enough content. I love what you've given me here. It was very fun to analyze this stuff. Again, I had to be over critique on some of these things because there's nothing else to look for. You guys, you pumped. Your damage was awesome. You had a solid coordinated team fight, and I just had to be nitpicky about those things. Otherwise, there'd be nothing to help you with, or help the viewers with, or help myself learn. Or fuck that H-Pal, man. But yeah, right, in that last situation, as a final aside, if you're going into a fight you know you don't have numbers in, and you just want to stall them out, spam go DPS, kick everything they do, chains everybody else, and you'll keep them from slowing out. So, as a final, it looks like you have a really good mastery of DK, and it showcases, especially from the just, pump damage, PvE's perspective of RBG, you have a good mastery of DK. Seems like your team's pretty coordinated. You got a great group of people there, so I hope you guys keep playing together. And I think there's just a little bit of a identity crisis and maybe a fusion, an inherent understanding of some of the strategies and how DK fits into those strategies that would stop you against better teams and hurt in the temple immensely, but will not hurt against these other teams because you just roll over them with just mastery of your class. That is my overarching opinion on this gameplay. And if I could watch the other ones, maybe that would be reinforced, or maybe there would be some games where that would change. So again, I'd love to do a part 2. Maybe if you give me a little bit more clips, I could put that together for a part 2. But again, thank you so much for giving me the RBG viewpoint. I really, really wanted to do this, and now I understand why. This was the most fun one I've done so far. That was just so fun for me. And I hope any of that helped. And again, fuck that H-Pal, man. Just fuck that H-Pal, man. Just stop with him and everything that he stands for. I don't like him. I don't like him as a person or as a man. Thanks, guys. I'll see you around.